is true. If you smell what the Rock is cooking, everybody knows it. I don't have to say what I am, because I've done it. That's the difference. The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Rest in peace.
Hey everybody, welcome to the final edition of Season 1 here in Smark Podcast, and I have a very special guest today, and it is, oh, look at the muscular guy right here. We are going through the Zoom meeting. It is the SPW Singapore Championship or the SPW Singapore World Heavyweight Champion. Which one, bro?
Is the Singapore champion.
Singapore
just
champion.
SPW Singapore champion, yeah.
I see. Hey, by the way, selamat Hari Raya, Maaf Zaidan Batin.
Selamat Hari Raya, Mas Zaidan Martin. Yeah. I think did we wish each other on Instagram? I forgot.
I think so too lah, but you know, how you doing, bro? How you doing?
Doing good. I mean, of course, I cannot really be the butcherman at this point in time. I mean, of course, sometimes the butcherman does come out, but since the COVID situation is happening, right, butcherman can't really wrestle lah. So most of the time, I'm just Daniel.
Right. It's okay for those of you listening into this podcast, right? Okay, this is what we do. Our Smark podcast. We when we talk about all the wrestling stuff, yes, we'll get into the wrestling stuff. But at the same time, if there's I don't want to say gimmick, it's a character by the butcherman. We also would like to know Daniel himself. How how did the butcherman character came out? Okay, let's start with pro wrestling. First of all, bro, may I ask, the many times that we interact, right? I don't really know how old are you?
Oh, I'm actually 25 years old.
35?
25.
25. Also, 25 is considered Attitude Era. You grew up
Yeah. I think I watched wrestling or started watching wrestling, I would say Invasion Era lah. The Attitude Era, I think, was going to end already. Yeah, so like it was when Vince got WCW.
Yeah, the heel Stone Cold era lah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, I feel that once Stone Cold, WrestleMania 17 when he turned heel.
Yep.
I think that was the end of the Attitude Era.
It is. Technically, that is like the final edition of the Attitude Era where the two biggest heel and face join in to.
Yeah.
That's where they verge into the ruthless aggression era.
Right. So I think I started watching during that time. I mean, of course, bits and pieces of the Attitude Era, but really started watching was Invasion Era. Yeah.
Right. So okay. We also would like to know, right, Daniel, the guy, right?
Yeah.
So I understand that you. How did this SPW thing starts for you, bro? Like, take us through a journey on how it starting. I mean, I understand guys like you and me, when we grow up watching wrestling, we don't know about, how to take a bomb and all that. We just watch, but for me, like, I started, I don't want to be a professional wrestler, but it got me interest when Bret Hart was there, because when I watched Bret Hart, right, I thought it was 1000% real. And then, when we grow up and stuff like that, right? So for me, Bret Hart start for me. What about you, bro?
I think the first person that I watched was Kane. I remember like the match was Big Show versus Kane. Actually, that whole match is on Botchamania and like considered one of the worst matches ever because very boring. But as a kid, right? It was absolutely like amazing. I was like, oh my god, like this Big Show guy is probably. Yeah, this Big Show is like probably like very strong, but then Kane was able to beat him in the end. And I was like, what? Like Kane is probably the strongest man on earth lah. I mean, when I was a kid, I thought that was the case. So I think my love for wrestling is in stages. So started off, like as a kid watching Kane, then started like The Rock and Stone Cold, stuff like that. Then I kind of like grew out of it for a while. Then I think back in 2006, that's when I started to like really like find my love for wrestling again. So I think I saw It was in the middle of Undertaker versus Kurt Angle, their feud at that time.
Okay.
And I thought Undertaker was like the man. He was,
Right.
with his entrance and his
That
wrestling.
was still American Badass, is it?
No, he already turned back into the dead man.
I see.
So
Okay, got it.
he was challenging Kurt Angle for the title lah.
Mm.
Yeah. So then after that, I started playing like SmackDown versus Raw 2006, and that's how I really knew all the wrestlers. So I thought, okay,
Right.
this guy, this is finisher, this is who he is or who she is and stuff like that. Then because I was very interested in the moves, right? All the the create a move set. I always go there. Like every single wrestling game, I'll go there. Then maybe
Create a wrestler.
see the moves there. Yeah. And I thought, okay, I'm going to invent this move. I'm going to invent the like a pedigree, but like into a pile driver. So I thought, okay, like
yeah. Okay. Matt Riddle uses it, right? Is it?
I think he uses a variation of it. Yeah.
Okay.
And I thought I'm a genius. I created this move. Then I think around that time, YouTube came about. So I typed on YouTube, okay, double unhook pile driver, see whether it exists lah. And then thousands of results came about. Of the alama, I'm not really a genius lah. But then because of that, I found there's not only WWE, there's also all types of wrestling.
Really, you didn't know?
So that was, I had no idea. I thought WWE was
okay.
only wrestling.
Right.
I mean, I guess WCW, I kind of knew a bit, but I didn't know that there was other such things. So that's when I found out Japanese wrestling. I found out AJPW, NJPW, TNA, ROH. So a lot of these other wrestling companies that just blew my mind. So I think in about 2007, 2008, that's where I told myself that some way, somehow I'm going to be a wrestler. So
2007, 2008, how old are you?
Yeah, I
17?
think
18?
No. Way younger. I think 11, 12 around there.
11, 12, wow.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first bump, bro?
Yeah, definitely. It was at my house.
Serious?
I go type
That
on
what, with your cousin or what?
with my siblings. With my siblings,
Serious?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically I type on YouTube how to do wrestling bumps and stuff.
Serious?
Then I took a bump then on the floor, on the bed, So when I actually entered SPW wrestling school, I kind of knew, but I mean, of course, it looked like shit. I mean, it wasn't that perfect, but I think along the way, it became a bit more natural for me.
So meaning to say, when you went into SPW, you already got the rhythm, you already got the feel on how you take a bump and all that.
Yeah, I mean, okay, because in 2012, I think 2011, 2012, I learned Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, BJJ.
Okay.
So I kind of had some, they did teach a bit of bumps because if you get taken down, you need to learn how to break your fall. So a lot of the basics that they taught over there, I kind of got naturally in SPW training lah. Yeah. So before I went into before I enrolled into the school, first of all, I had to tell my parents. Yeah. So it was as if I'm coming out like a gay, I want to be a wrestler. I was so nervous because I thought maybe they might think that it's not good for you.
Yep.
And of course they did say stuff like that, but they also said, okay, if you want to be a wrestler, it's okay, but we want you to pursue further studies first before you become a wrestler. In the end, I didn't really pursue further studies, but I mean, I did have a stable job, or I do have a stable job now, and I think it has worked out lah. So, anyways, this was 2013. I was going to enter NS, but I had to wait a very long time lah, because I think this was in June 2013. My enlistment was in February 2014, so I had a lot of time.
Right.
I was. Oh yeah, I think one thing I should mention is that I used to live overseas. In fact, I've only stayed.
You kind of don't have the Singapore accent, even though we Malay to Malay, right? But I can tell, when we had our meeting where we want to shoot something, remember that? I wanted to
Yeah,
ask,
yeah.
bro, where you from, sia? Like you
Right.
sounded like a bit like you stay in Western countries before?
I stayed in like England, Australia,
No wonder. Okay, I
but
get it.
the longest was Qatar.
Wow.
This is in the Middle East. Yeah, so I was in Qatar, and of course I couldn't enroll in the SPW wrestling school yet, lah. So
Mm-mm-mm.
I thought to myself, it would be a bit more sensible if I like train promos, maybe come up with a character, like like at least there is something for me to kind of
Right.
fill up my wrestling desires, lah.
So by this time,
So,
SPW is already around when you are in Qatar.
yeah, yeah.
I see.
SPW
Okay.
started in 2012, so
Right,
I think
right,
this
right,
was
right.
around
Okay.
2013. Yeah, so I thought like, okay, I'm going to watch the SPW YouTube. Okay, I'm gonna like maybe pick out somebody like maybe like Tiberian and the Statement Andrew Tang.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I created this character called Bellum Roy. Basically the character is like this guy who that likes to do shoot promos to people lah, like for
Right,
no
right.
reason
This
whatsoever.
on your own,
So,
ah.
yeah.
Okay.
So I sent a promo to Andrew and Tiberian, and I tagged them on Twitter lah. I say like respond if you dare or some shit like that.
And then
And then Andrew like texted me and he was like, leave it lah. He said uh it's funny how someone sounds so tough with a Kotex
he
on
didn't
their face. Because I was wearing a mask, right?
he didn't know you were trying to work him, ah.
Yeah. Then I told him like, hey bro, like sorry, like I mean I'm just a fan. I really love what you guys are doing, and I hope to join in the future lah. Then that's where
The
Andrew and
interaction
I
begin.
started to interact. Yeah. Then
Okay.
I enlisted in NS, and after NS, then Andrew texted me. He said, "Hey, like, when are you going to join?" And I said, "I'm in NS, so I don't know whether it's possible to do it at the same time." And he said, "Sure, like why not? Like, you can do it, after working hours, or you just check your schedule, then you just join, lah."
Right.
So in December 2014, that's when I joined. Yeah.
So when you first joined, and this
Yeah.
is the question that I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
How do you like? Is I have like I can imagine how you're feeling right now because you wanted to be a professional wrestler, stuff like
Yeah.
that, and this is like what you're in the media world, right? This is like your first gig. You're going,
Yeah.
your first show. Describe that,
Yeah.
bro. The first show, the first time you enter the ring. I believe you start as a butcherman, right?
Yeah. I started as the butcher, lah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the thing is, like I joined in 2014, but I debuted in 2016. Because
Stay training,
more of like in 2014, like
Mm.
I did enjoy like wrestling, of course. Like I really want to be a wrestler, but
Yeah.
I think at that time, right, because of NS and doing training at the same time,
Right.
I couldn't really tahan, to be honest. Like I felt like if I want to join here, I need to be like 100% into it. Like I cannot be like, like have too
Half-ass,
much commitments. Yeah, I cannot half-ass. And
Okay.
I felt that at that time also, like I couldn't handle criticism. The trainer would be like, hey, like like why you do this wrong, and then like I would be so emotionally affected that like I didn't really my mind wasn't
Yeah.
into it lah.
Never really thought what it
Yeah.
is, lah. I
So
see, I see.
then I decided to finish NS first. Then after that I decided, hey, like I think now is the time for me to actually join back lah. So after I joined back, that's when I made my debut. So I think my first experience, definitely the nerves were there lah. Like the like what if I cock up? My debut match, I was in a 5-man match, one fall. Basically all people in the same
Fatal five-way,
ring last. Fatal 5-way, yeah. So it
really,
was
Walao.
young Alex Cuevas
Yep.
that I debuted with at the same time on the same day. Aiden Rex,
Wow.
Saint RH, and Lukman. Yeah, Lukman Adam, the free
Okay.
spirit Lukman Adam.
And you
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so I took the fall. I tapped out, and I in fact like was very happy about that. Because like if let's say I was like one of the guys that just like, like was at the side,
Right.
and then like the last two people is the one that people remember. Like they remember like the person that tapped out or the person that won.
Right.
So I felt like it was a good opportunity for me to kind of like have that last image of that match before they move on to the next match.
Mm.
Yeah, so like I think I was very happy with the performance, but the thing is, after the show, I remember when I went to other SPW events, like all the fans would take pictures with the
Yep.
wrestlers, and I was like,
Yeah,
okay, like I'm going to wait for my turn, and then like nobody came up to me. So, like, I mean, of course,
serious?
all my close friends came to me. Of course,
Ah.
those are the ones that, of course, have to take a picture of me because they were there to see me.
Yeah, correct.
But like in terms of like other fans, they didn't give a shit. They like, who the hell is this vanilla butcher
Correct.
guy?
It's still a low cut, right? That's why.
Yeah. So
low-
like, I mean, I wasn't really affected until like 2 shows after that. I realized that people didn't give a shit about me. Yeah, so I was like, oh, like,
Serious, ah?
yeah. But the thing is, like, it took like a lot of thinking and I guess some advice from the veteran wrestlers there lah. They told me like, hey, like, like maybe you should do this for your wrestling moves, or maybe you should do this for your character, or do this to make sure that people remember you. So yeah, like I took all of that advice, and also I watched this movie called Crank. Have you heard of it? It's starring
Amy
Jason
Smart.
Statham.
Amy Smart and Jason Statham, right?
Jason Statham,
Jason
yeah.
Statham
So
and Amy Smart, yeah.
Amy Smart, I
Is
think
it the
so.
girl?
Yeah.
They have a sex scene in front of a crowd,
Yeah.
right? I remember that. Yeah.
Awesome movie.
Okay.
Yeah. So
What's that movie got to do?
yeah, okay. So like the first incarnation of the butcher is like, oh, like I'm very garang, like, oh, like I like to cut people up and stuff like that. But that's it. Like what else is there to the character? But then when I watched the movie, like, okay, the first thing that he did to get his heart rate up, right, was sniff cocaine. And then I thought, like, hey, like, what if like like so-called sniff cocaine from my cleaver, then I become like really, really crazy.
Yeah.
So I tried it, and I think when I did a promo with the Horus, back then it was Dr. Gore and also Dave Vindictus. Yeah, so when I did the promo, and like there was a lot of good reviews from it, like a lot of the fans and like fellow wrestlers were like, wow, like that's pretty cool. And when I wrestled the match, my fourth match, the crowd was for some reason like very behind me.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, like I have something here, like there's something magical here that I can play on.
It's kind of like the transition of your character, huh?
Yeah. And like on that night, like man, like I was damn tired after, because like a lot of fans were taking pictures with me. I was like, okay, like this is what I've been waiting for, like for the past 3 shows.
Is that the point, bro? Is that the marking point that wow, I think this is it for me? Like you are in it.
Okay,
when
like
the fans come to you, there's always a breaking point. Like, okay, I know I've made it.
Yeah. I would say that's more of like I got the respect from the fans on that night. But the thing is, like I didn't feel like I made it just yet.
Yep.
But I did get complacent, like from that match. I felt like, oh, okay, like I'm so popular, like
Really?
everybody
Wow,
loves me.
Yeah.
And the next show was the show that Pete Dunne wrestled in the main event against the Statement.
Pete Dunne. Okay.
Pete Dunne.
I remember that. Okay.
Yeah, and then on that night it was Horus versus Bad Company. Bad Company is a Thai tag team.
Okay.
Yeah, like badasses, like, and they were the Southeast Asian tag team champions. So I thought to myself, oh, I'm going to steal the show. Like everybody's going to love me. Man, like the match started, the crowd was damn silent, and I was crushed. Like that feeling of like shit. Like I think I guess like can compare it to when a stand-up comedian tells a joke, but then nobody responds. Is that type of feeling? And it's like, yeah, I was like, oh my god. Only like at the near the end of the match when I got pinned and all, that's when the crowd started to like really cheer.
Right, right.
I mean like the ending did save the match lah, but the thing is, I felt the shit like I can't be complacent. I need to really like make sure that every match is as if it's my first. It's the first time that people are going to see me, and it's the first time that I'm going to make an impression. Yeah, so I think I've had a lot of those ups and downs where I felt that people, people love me, so like why should I put in so much effort? Like then they don't react, then I feel like I need to pick myself up again.
Correct,
Then
correct.
once I'm up, then I go back down. So like nowadays I'm really trying to make sure that like I focus on impressing people no matter what, like, and treating it as my first show lah.
But at the time you are still working as a babyface. You're still a babyface, ah.
Yeah, like I've the thing is
You never turned heel before, right?
not really. I
Not
mean,
yet, right? Yeah,
we
yeah.
were supposed to be heel during the first Horus match, but the crowd was so into us that I think we thought that it's best to be face. But I think if I were to change anything, I would have probably get the Horus to be heel. Yeah.
Because the thing is, right, bro. When I first caught you, right,
Yeah.
I think it's somewhere around 2018. At that time, I think I saw. Is it the one that you wrestle Kenny Omega? In a tag match?
This would be
2018, right?
2019.
19,
2019 last year. Yeah.
Yeah, that's that, when I saw your work, right, I immediately go, what's your gimmick? Because
Yeah.
you really work baby face. Do you get any such remarks like that? Like, hey bro, your character butcherman, is the butcher and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Aren't you supposed to be a heel, but you work as a baby face?
Yeah. Yeah, like the thing is like I think I prefer to work face actually, to be
Really,
honest. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, if you hear a lot of like interviews of wrestlers, right, they always like to say heel,
Yeah.
which but heel I can assume is very fun lah.
It's very easy as well.
Yeah, exactly. Because like you can do whatever you want, like,
especially in this day in this day and age of wrestling, it's very easy
exactly. But I think if as a face, right, like there's that challenge, like okay, like you go into the you go through the curtain, then people see you, then you wrestle the match, and you try to earn their respect.
Right.
That is the challenge that I like. And also, I mean, like I like selling. Like I like heel just beating me down, and I look like like I'm in trouble. Then I fight from underneath. Like I like to tell that type of story.
Yeah.
So in terms of like the butcherman supposed to be heel, I mean, of course, like the traditional butcher or the traditional violent character is heel, but I try to kind of change the perception. I want to show that, hey, like you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Like I would say I would represent more of those like misfits that like feel that they are outcasted, or like they feel that they are.
To me, it's a very hard gimmick. You know what? It's kind of like the early stages of Undertaker,
Yeah.
It is Western old country kind of wrestler, right? Which for him, I don't want to make such comparison. For him, he works as a heel first, and then he turns the face, so it's much easier for him. And he has a storyline. But you start as a babyface until now, it's very, very difficult to pull off the gimmick, and you pull off really, really well, actually.
Right. I think always in my mind I felt I was a babyface. And in fact, I think like whether you're a face or a heel, that is the key for you to believe your character. It's no matter what, I'm a babyface. Like even if you're a heel, like you must think that you're correct. You must think that no matter what, like no matter how people may think that I'm wrong, I'm always right. I am the hero of my story. Right. So I think that is how like every character or every wrestler should view their character.
Right. Okay, let's take a break from SPW. I want to talk about something that I found on YouTube. I saw this one video of a press conference at Ring Wrestling Nepal.
Oh my god! Wow.
Immediately I saw you and who's that guy? What's his name?
Eurasian Dragon.
Eurasian Dragons. Yeah. What's this? Since when is this?
This was in 2017. So I mean like Eurasian Dragon,
This
good
was
friend of
when
mine.
you.
So
This was when you were in SPW. Right?
yeah. So
And if I'm not
actually
mistaken, it's a televised program, right?
yeah, it was. In fact, like I was very lucky like to have that opportunity
It is,
so
huh?
early in my career. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So how that came about?
um
Like why you
yeah
and Eurasian Dragon?
yeah Eurasian Dragon. I think he went over to Nepal like a few years ago before that
Okay.
that time. So he was already confirmed in that show.
Right.
It was supposed to be Mighty Mighty with him.
Yeah. Yep.
But I think because Mighty Mighty he was still in NS, so Eurasian Dragon asked whether I can replace and I thought like like freak like there's wrestling in Nepal, okay, like of course like
It's
must go.
different as well when it comes to
Yeah,
TV. Yeah.
yeah, okay, like if you don't mind, I share my experience with Nepal.
No,
Like
wait, go ahead. Go ahead.
so the promoter is a very nice lady. Her name is Suni, and like she said like she texted me and Eurasian Dragon. She said, make sure that you both arrive with attitude. And I was like, what do you mean attitude? So I asked Eurasian Dragon lah. So like, what is she talking about? She said, basically whenever you talk to them, make sure that you are in gimmick. You cannot break kayfabe lah.
Okay,
Because
that's interesting.
Yeah, because over there is wrestling is real. Basically it's all like kayfabe lah. So okay, fine, sure.
She was referring to you talking to other wrestlers.
Basically talking to like the press, the media,
okay, okay, got it.
Whenever there's any interviews, right?
Got
So
okay.
my flight, I mean the total travel time was about like 20 hours or something like that lah. Like I went to Mumbai, then from Mumbai to Nepal. So I was very tired, but in my mind it was okay. Like I arrived there with this attitude lah in giving. So the moment I step out of the plane and then like past immigration, I take out my gel, I spike up my hair, I put on my wrist tape, then I put on my sunglasses, and I'm already like already the character already. So I thought that like everybody should know me as Butcherman lah. So,
yeah. At the airport some more.
yeah, then I remember I'm just sitting down like shaking and then like character.
Okay. Oh, that's very interesting. Okay, like go on.
Yeah. Then after that, I remember like when I was sitting down waiting for them to approach me, right? There was this wife and kid. I mean like mother and kid taking picture of me, like like trying to sneak a picture lah. So they thought I was some like big wrestling or boxing star or whatever lah.
Yeah. But
So,
Nepal, okay, go on.
Yeah. So then I saw the camera crew. I approached them. Then I said, "Is this ring wrestling?" Then they were so scared. They were like, "Oh, okay, like so sorry, sir." Then after that, they brought me out for the interview, and like I just answered in kayfabe. Like even though I was very tired, I answered in kayfabe. In fact, like on my Instagram, there is the full interview.
Right.
Yeah, like that was all improv lah. I was just like, whatever that comes in my mind, I'm just going to say as Butcherman.
Wait, bro, sorry. So when that was the interview all at the airport or what?
Yeah, it was at the airport. I mean, like the video that you saw on YouTube was on the day itself.
Yeah,
but basically the interview was at the airport. Like once I touched down, I already had to do a promo. Then after, right, because I had to tell fake stories, like I live in Malaysia, because they already had Singaporean from Eurasian Dragon, so they needed another country, which is Malaysia. So I had to be the Malaysian, Butcherman from Malaysia. Then I had to tell some bogus story about, like I live in Malaysia, but I travel to Singapore to train. Some bullshit like that.
Right.
The thing is though, Eurasian Dragon touched down already, and he acted as if like non-kayfabe. I was like,
huh?
Why you not in kayfabe? Then he said, oh, only when the cameras roll, then you kayfabe. Nah, lama. All this time I could have been normal. Like, damn tired already.
That's good training though. Right?
Definitely
that's
like
good training,
I mean like I feel it's also a good story to tell. So
Yeah.
anyways, going back to the YouTube video that you're watching. So we went to the hotel, drop our stuff, change, go straight to the press conference.
Okay, but
Yeah,
I didn't manage to catch the matches at ring wrestling. It's called ring wrestling only, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean the wrestling there, they are, I guess, still not as like polished as like other companies, I guess,
right.
or like yeah. So the thing is, though, they have a lot of heart. Like they really love it a lot, and they really take care of themselves. Like a lot of them have like six packs and stuff, and
Yeah.
like they really treat it like a
But is it
like
still
real
around?
sport. The thing is that they've been quiet for quite a while. I don't know
Yeah, that's
whether
why
they have.
I tried
Yeah,
to look it up. Don't have.
like they have like shows like very rarely.
Mm.
But when they have shows, they draw quite big crowds lah. So on that trip, I wrestled in a stadium. It was broadcasted to like around like million plus people lah. So a lot of people in Nepal saw ring wrestling lah.
Well, it's for those of you who is listening in, right? Because the reason this is such a big deal, I mean, I assume you already know this lah, but wrestling in an event is something else. That's house shows and stuff like that, right? Wrestling in a TV, you must know. Am I right to say this? You must know when to look at the camera, which camera
Yeah.
is focusing and stuff like that. When you make your moves, right? You don't want to be
Yeah.
like for let's say you don't want to be like somebody power slam you and then your landing about your timing of getting out. You don't want to be like the
Yeah.
camera focusing on your balls, you
Yeah, definitely,
want camera
definitely,
to focusing on your camera. So
Yeah.
describe to us that the difference, bro, like house shows and TV when you wrestle in ring wrestling in Nepal.
Yeah, I mean like they weren't as focused on like positioning as much,
Right.
but they really what do you call it, they want you to just improvise like they don't tell you a lot of things like beforehand. Of course they'll tell you the winner, the loser, or all this lah. But
Yeah.
I remember I was at the so-called gorilla position.
Mhm.
And there was already an interviewer waiting there. I was like, what? Are we supposed to do interviews?
Huh?
So
Serious?
like,
Outside
yeah,
at the gorilla position.
yeah, I'm like, what the hell? And this interview will be, of course, posted on the Titantron lah.
Right.
So like, I'm like, shit. So
They
I
didn't
go
tell
to,
you.
yeah, they didn't tell me, like, at least I could have prepared something lah. So like, I went there, and then like the interviewer has a microphone and she's asking some question.
Right.
Then I'm like, frick, like
On the phone.
okay,
Yeah.
just say something like everybody's watching, just say something.
Right.
So I just cut an impromptu promo lah. And I think she wanted to ask something else, but I'm like, nope, like I'm going to go for a match now. So I just walked to the entrance. Yeah. So yeah, like I mean like they treated the show as if it's like make or break. If like this show fails, we are done. So I think
That's a very good.
the success of the show was pretty good. Like it was watched by many people lah. So it did survive at least for that period of time. I don't know whether it's still around.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah.
I tried to do some research. I want to do is like
Yeah.
get to know the wrestlers and stuff like that because for those of you listening in as well, because it's not that we don't know knowledge. It's just that there's in this day and age there's a lot of wrestlers and wrestling company and whatnot. So, and guys like I don't think some people even knew Kenny Omega wrestle at SPW. That's how the wrestling business works these days. Like it's like a lot of wrestlers. When I start this podcast, right? I don't even know there's an Indian pro wrestling as well. You know what I mean? Like so that's why it's been a lot. But anyways, okay. Now going back to when I think we a lot of sidetrack from the stuff. So when you tell us more about when you like who inspires you and stuff like that. I think we haven't covered that, right? You only say Kane just now, but Kane is the focal point of you wanting to be a wrestler. But I believe is there someone else that inspire you, especially when you become this butcherman character?
Okay, I mean like in terms of like who I used to watch a lot was Taker.
Mm.
I watched a lot of Japanese wrestling, so I don't know whether you're familiar with Kenta Kobashi.
Yep, I do.
Kenta Kobashi,
All Japan, right? That one?
Misawa, yeah, all Japan,
All
yeah,
Japan, yeah.
Misawa, Kawada, those group of people. Then Pro Wrestling Noah, I would watch like Kenta, Marufuji,
Mm.
and Jushin Liger. I think Jushin Liger, I think is like one of my all-time favorite wrestlers.
Right.
He's
Hayabusa?
just Hayabusa. I mean, of
Hayabusa,
course,
yeah.
legendary. I mean, of course, unfortunate what happened to him.
Oh,
His botch lah, but
yeah.
I mean, of course, a very revolutionary wrestler lah.
It's funny. It's funny you mentioned All Japan, because us, I don't know about you, but us here in Singapore, right? New Japan, All Japan, Noah, Stardom, all these, right? We don't have access growing up though. We only
Right,
got
like
Star Sport. We only got WWE and
right.
WCW.
Right. So I think YouTube is like was one of the greatest inventions of all time lah. So
Okay. Same.
like I think if it wasn't for YouTube, like I wouldn't have known all of this lah. I wouldn't have known that there was wrestling outside of WWE. Yeah. So like these are the guys I always watched. But in terms of like for my wrestling, I would say whoever I watched, it just meshed into one. Like, of course, there were some inspirations, like like Ultimate Warrior in terms of his character and his like craziness. Jake
Not
Roberts,
for the wrestling ability, of course.
of course not. Like, I mean, like I would say he's an underrated wrestler, but of course he is not known for
He
his.
made such an impact to all of us.
Yeah,
by
definitely.
being Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Then in terms of like promo, I would always watch like Jake the Snake Roberts. I mean, of course, my promo style and his promo style is like way different, but the way he would like make you remember what he said is like wow, it's so good. Tess also was like great at wrestling promos.
ECW
Even
Stats.
though, yeah, like, I mean, of course, people know him as the announcer, but I'm sure like you also know that he used to be ECW legend. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So I think the biggest influence, of course, will still be Undertaker because he is the occupational gimmick lah. So like you got the Duke the Dumpster, you got
oh my god, Duke the Dumpster.
Yeah, all these like Nails was a prisoner,
Big
Boss Man was a
back, we were like questioning how the fuck do you think these characters are gonna take over, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
Then got a lot of these occupational gimmicks that job people who have jobs but suddenly become wrestler. But I think Undertaker was the best of all time in terms of that type of character. So I would definitely say that he was the biggest inspiration to my butcherman character lah. Yeah.
Okay. Bro, when you mentioned Undertaker, have you watched the documentary? The last one?
Definitely, man. Like I am blown away.
Yeah. When you watch it, right? So first of all, it's a great documentary, by the way.
Yeah.
What will you do, bro? In your if it's in your position, because this is the one I'm talking about. He always won that perfect send off. What will you do? Seeing that, let's say if you are in his spot right now in episode 2. Yeah. I think episode 2 is when he did his surgery and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And then he wrestles in a stupid clusterfuck match with DX.
Yeah.
Right. What would you do if you were him as a pro wrestler?
Yeah. Yeah. So like I think one of the things that hit me quite hard was when he had the match with Roman Reigns and he didn't like it.
Yep. That's really sad to see his face, huh?
Yeah. The thing is though, when I actually watched the match, I liked it because it was, Undertaker is like so old and so mortal. Like the keyword is mortal.
Right.
For so long you think that he's some dead man who will always live forever, but you show his humanity in that match.
Yep.
The botchers I think added to the story, but the thing is like from that documentary he said I hated that match. Like I disappointed my fellow wrestler, and as a wrestler myself, I feel that I do go through that also. Like, I have a bad match and I always like am hard on myself, and I bring my wife to it. I always like show her like, hey, like you see this botch, like you see this move, like it's so wrong. Like I wish I could do better.
Right.
And I guess like watching that documentary also, right, I felt like shit. Like, what if I'm like damn old and I'm still wrestling, and I'm like that. I'm still like that. I'm still like, you know, like, oh, like I need to have that match that will fulfill my legacy. And you know, like, yeah, it made me think quite a lot. You know, like, hey, like, uh, do I really want to put myself through that, or do I
Yeah.
want to put my family through that? You know, like to see me like a broken hip trying to chase that last bit of glory. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I think like if I was in Taker's position, I would really try to reflect. But I mean, of course, that is his journey. Like his journey
Yeah.
is that
For
he
me,
wants to just cap off. Yeah,
do you think, right? Okay, the difference between him, Hogan, and Flair. Okay, we all don't want to see Hogan and Flair anymore, right? At this current day, but we still want to see Undertaker. For me, right, he is his own success in his own demise. Like what you said just now, he's a gimmick that walked
yeah,
through the cool era and it gets over. And I
yeah,
think that's why, right? He still, for fuck's sake, he's played this character and he's not been doing shoot interview for how long. So I think in his mind, right, he wants to go out with a bang because it's the Undertaker. You know,
yeah,
it's no more Mark Calloway already. Don't you think
yeah,
so?
yeah. Definitely. I mean, like, the thing is though, his boneyard match, right, that he had with AJ Styles.
Hmm.
To me, I felt that should be the end. Like, you can't go better than that. I mean, with his
Looking at his
limitations, with his age.
looking at his documentary, I don't think he want to end that match. And with
That
that,
that's that's the
yeah,
that's the thing lah. Yeah, that's
yeah,
the thing. But I mean, if I were him, that would be the match because uh it you know it's quite revolutionary. So I mean, of course, that style of match really was revolutionized by like Broken Matt Hardy.
Hmm.
I think Lucha Underground did something like that also. But like
Lucha Underground do it a
uh
lot. Yeah.
yeah. So for Taker to have that type of match, right, like that as a fan, like it's like okay, like this is the Taker that I know and love, you know, like
Yeah.
this is the Taker that I fell in love with, you know, during the Attitude Era, Invasion Era, and the Ruthless Aggression Era lah. Yeah, so yeah, I think that hopefully he doesn't, you know, like hurt his legacy and aura too
Yeah,
much
that's
lah.
why. That's why.
Yeah,
That's why. Yeah,
yeah,
that's the thing I worry about because
yeah,
the Brock Lesnar match when he lost his streak, right? That's
yeah,
where I feel it should end it already. But the thing is that match is not good. At the time, we
yeah.
don't know if he's selling or looking back at
It's
the
like really
documentary
hurt, right?
now, yeah,
Yeah,
I was thinking that he's selling. I didn't know he was
yeah,
hospitalized after that
right,
and all that.
right.
Vince left with him, Brock left with him
Yeah,
and accompanied him at the hospital.
yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
know that, But
yeah. Same.
yeah, so it's very sad lah for you and me because he's our hero, man. It's like he's not my
Yeah,
favorite. He's one of my favorite, but he's we grew up with him. Yeah, like technically
yeah, definitely.
that's our guy. That's
Yeah,
WWF guy.
right.
People don't know wrestling also, but when you speak Undertaker, it's not the Undertaker
Yeah,
job scope. People will think
yeah, exactly.
immediately pro wrestling Undertaker, right? Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
that's right. Okay, bro. What I want to ask you about? Okay, like I mentioned to you yesterday when we do our promo video for you. Right,
Yeah.
there's some question. I be
Mm.
I will highlight to you with one of the question here. One of these, I believe, is your wife, bro.
Oh, really? Okay, awesome.
Is it
Let's hear
D
what she has to say.
Shariza? Is it?
D Shariza, yeah,
That's your wife,
that's my
okay,
wife.
okay.
Yeah, yeah,
She wants to know. Okay, let's
yeah.
forget the fact that's your wife, lah. I think she's
Mhm.
asking that as a fan. Lah. Besides
Yeah.
the butcherman, what other wrestling character would you choose to be?
Ooh, okay, that's very
Answer
interesting.
carefully. Answer carefully.
Like okay, the thing is, right, like with the Butcherman character, I feel that I have like created its own world lah. So like you know, like I've really just added bits and pieces
Mm,
to make like my own version of what I think a butcher should be.
right.
But I think like in terms of like other wrestling character, like I will be like I like the Rock, you know, like I've got Rock as one of my favorite of all time also.
Mm.
That very narcissistic, like
You're talking about the corporate rock, is it?
But the thing is like corporate or whether it's the people's champion,
People's champion, yeah.
he's always full of himself, like he
Right,
always
right,
talk
right,
about
right, right.
himself.
Right. You can see the
But you know, like,
cocky, arrogant, yeah.
yeah. In fact, like before I wanted to become the butcherman, I wanted to become like the Singapore's cleanest man. That was one of my character ideas initially, like you know, like
Okay.
I come from overseas. You know, I'm cleaner than all of you. You claim to be the cleanest country in the world, but you know, like I'm cleaner than all of you. Like you all bow down to me. That type of thing. So I would have gone with that type of character, I guess.
Kind of like colonizer, huh?
Kind of like colonizer. Yeah. So like
Super cocky,
colonizer.
yeah, colonizer. Huh?
Yeah, like when she came out with the character and she approached me about it. Like she said that, hey, like you know, will this be too risky and stuff? And like that part of me just said, you know what, just do it lah. You know that is
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Let's go ahead and do
Yeah.
it. Yeah. So I did give her some tips and tricks about like what she can do to go about with her character lah.
She's a heat seeker.
Yeah,
She's
definitely. I mean like
yeah. Of all the SPW talent, like
yeah.
I watch. She's a heat seeker. I think she's like
Yeah.
the most like heat seeker. And if you bring
Yeah.
that kind of character to the American crowd, like there is a possibility that she will get cheered because she's so
Yeah.
cool with the heel.
Yeah.
With the heel
Yeah,
persona.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I admire her courage lah to just because I mean like the amount of boost that she gets, right? Wow, like it's
Almost Ricky Guerrero level.
yeah. If I was a heel, I wish I had that type of heat, man.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's very good. Yeah.
We still got plenty of questions, but we'll get back to that. I want to talk about this pandemic, right? What's going on, right?
Yeah.
I'm not too sure. You answer at your own terms whether you can answer or not. For what's the status now, bro? For SPW, how are you guys getting back after the you know, today is the first day of phase 1, right? Are you guys? Is there, you know I mean, like what's the status for SPW now?
Yeah, I mean like we definitely want to get back to normal operation soon. I mean, of course, training has been halted for quite a while already.
Yeah.
I think in terms of shows, at this time it's very early to talk about it, or it's very early to plan for shows.
Yeah, because no gatherings and stuff.
I think the first our SPW phase 1 would be to start training again. Yeah.
Is there any way? No, I know this is a little bit advanced, but is there any way that you guys can do like empty arena match?
Yeah, I mean we definitely have thrown that idea around, and I feel, I mean, of course, our preferred method is of course with the crowd,
right,
because that really fuels our performance. But I mean, of course, that is definitely not out of the question. We definitely have been considering empty arena matches. Yeah.
Okay, bro. Another thing I want to ask you, right? Slipped my mind just now, but I want to ask you, right? You and I, we kind of like grew up in the same era of wrestling, right? Back when we were watching, right? Element of surprise is the best. You know, They don't have to promo. Hey, The Rock is gonna be here next week. They don't have to do that, right? Do you think, right? The internet pro wrestling marks like myself.
Yeah.
Do you think we have spoiled the ethnicity of pro wrestling? Because for me, right, my pet peeve is, like I mentioned before, the element of surprise. Yep. What's your pet peeve in today's wrestling?
I think that definitely would be one of my pet peeves, is that like you know, we are so embroiled in the dirt sheets that
yep.
you
and
know,
social
like
media as well.
Exactly, yeah. So like you get all these spoilers and like, oh, like WWE plans to have Drew McIntyre win the Royal Rumble, and like that feeling of like, oh my God, Drew McIntyre won the Royal Rumble is not there anymore. But the thing is, I think that might be a bad example, because that was like, I think that the only time in recent memory that I felt surprised, you know. But you know, like, yeah, like I didn't know he was going to win. I thought like maybe Roman Reigns was going to win again, then fight Brock Lesnar again or something, or fight Goldberg or something like that. But like, yeah, I was surprised at that. But you know, like stuff like, oh, this person is going to AEW, or like Matt Hardy is going to AEW, and then like he pops out there, and like you don't really feel surprised. You feel like, oh, that's so awesome that he's there, but you don't have that holy shit, like, oh my god, like I feel so emotional right now because he's there. But the surprise is already out, so it's not really there. But I think another pet peeve of mine is okay, I think this kind of started in the when CM Punk did the pipe bomb promo.
Pipe bomb. Okay.
Yeah, so he talked about how like the company was holding him down and stuff like that. And this mentality has bleeded into the mindset of a lot of wrestlers
A
nowadays.
lot of wrestling fans as well.
Wrestling fans and the wrestlers also, yeah. So like we must get what we want now. Like, like we are entitled to have this, we deserve this.
Yep.
But the thing is, like, we don't really deserve anything. Like I mean, in terms of wrestling fans perspective, I hope that, or I would wish that like we can just accept the storyline for what it is, let it like progress normally, and then see
I
how
get what
they
you mean. Like,
execute it.
like I think last week Apollo Crews just won the
Yeah.
US title, and I see all these comments on Facebook and Twitter, saying that he deserved it. I was like,
Yeah.
deserve what? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like it looks like hey, we give you this football of the US title, can you run with it? And then we'll see. I was
Yeah.
like, there's no storyline, there's no nothing. I don't know. And what bothers me these day and age, right, is that Vince McMahon, when he announced his sports entertainment, right, it totally changed the landscape, because right now wrestlers are limited. For you guys, SPW, ROH, and all this is brilliant, because not saying that you guys are not good, but you guys don't you have unlimited things. For example,
Yeah.
if you were to the butcherman in this pandemic, you on a WWE TV, if you were to like suck your own hand, the sponsors won't like it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so I think that's why
Definitely.
that is what is wrong with professional wrestling right now, because
Yeah.
the things that they do, they can only impress, and then the alternative is guys like Seth Rollins doing a dangerous move like a bucker bomb to impress the crowd, which injured guys like Sting and all that.
Yep.
I think that's wrong with professional wrestling, right? Don't you think so?
Yeah, like speaking on the buckle bomb thing, right? I think it's quite good that they banned it, because
I would not.
the thing
I
is,
would not see that. It's dangerous. Yeah.
yeah, the thing with wrestlers or wrestling, I think in the new era or the new day and age is we want to focus on moves, we want to focus on the athleticism. Story, what is story? Story is always like the least priority.
Right.
And yeah, like the thing is, like I think Taker said it in one of his interviews, which I totally agreed with lah. Is you do all this like cool flips, cool moves, like every single show.
Yep.
Then the fans are like, wow, so cool. But then what do you have next? What is there? What is there to look forward to? Because we know that you can do this 630 senton, but like, what else? But if you have a character, or if you have a story, you can do whatever you want with it, and you can keep things fresh, and you can like invent new things in the story or your character, and people will want more, and you can give more. Yeah. So, with all of this. Yeah, with all of these like dangerous moves, I think it's unnecessary. Yeah. I mean, of course, it's cool, but maybe like once in a while, or if it's too dangerous, just don't do it.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, I'm not saying I'm stuck in the 90s. It's just that there are certain moves that I don't think it's necessary. Like for Undertaker, he do that walking on the rope. He doesn't do it every time. You know what I mean?
He doesn't.
He do on Mondays, and then the next time you will see it maybe on, I don't know, maybe from 2 Mondays from now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's okay, I remember him. You know that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's the difference between these days wrestlers and the psychology also. It's not there. I don't want to be this is a Smark podcast, but I don't want to be like those Smarks that says, oh, I complain a lot that I've never been in the ring. But as an observer, as a viewer, look at AJ Styles, man. He combines indie moves and psychology of it because
Yes, yeah.
because his journey is different.
Yes.
You know, and sometimes people when they watch wrestling, they don't really realize the timing of you getting up for the next move and all that. Um, I think that's what's missing with professional wrestling these days.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean like because the I guess the habit or like the temptation of wrestlers is that
Mm.
must do the next move, like okay, like like must remember the whole sequence, okay, then we think of that, but they don't really think about, okay, let's sell, let's breathe, let's take time to tell this story,
Yeah,
let's take
yeah,
time for the
yeah.
crowd to like absorb what you are doing, because like that is very important. Yeah, if you just keep doing, the crowd will be like, I don't remember what happened. I
Yeah,
remember that they fought, but
but also right in their defense, right? I mean, we try to play devil's advocate here, lah.
yeah.
But in their defense, right, I think TV time for their match also sometimes, you have to.
No, that definitely. I mean that does play a part, lah. But I think that just the general mentality of wrestlers, lah. Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to some of the questions for those of you listening in. Thank you, by the way, for sending out. There's a lot of questions, but I don't think we got time. All right, just gonna pick the best ones.
Okay.
Okay, this guy, I am Blackheart01. Any advice for inspiring wrestlers like himself? I
Okay.
assume from Singapore, I assume. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Thanks for the question. Any advice I would say is that like you really want to, not you really have to want it. You cannot just 50-50 wishy-washy, or I think wrestling is cool and I want to do it. You really must commit to it, because it will affect your performance if you don't. Yeah, that's one thing. It will affect your mindset. I guess also try to be try to work out as much as you can. I mean, of course, for the longest time, like I didn't believe in working out, lah. Just
Really?
go wrestle, yeah, just
Wow,
go
okay.
do it. But then I think ever since the pandemic, like I thought, hey, like now's the time for me to just like kind of like at least increase some sort of like physical attribute, lah, so that when I go into the ring, I can perform much better.
And
Yeah,
also
so
you have to have the look as well.
yes, definitely. Yeah, I mean, of course, for me, I wear a shirt, so that's okay, lah. But I mean, like, I still do try to keep myself fit, because, I may wear a shirt, or I may wear, like, I don't have to show my six pack abs, but I do need to show that I am still an athlete.
Yep.
You know. Also, another thing is that if if you reach a stage where you need to come up with a character, just make sure that you fully 100% believe in the character. Don't be scared of making mistakes. Because I mean, if you don't make a mistake, you don't know whether it works or not. Yeah, so just try to come up with ideas that you feel is right, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, just come up with something else. Yeah.
What's more important to you, bro? Selling, in a pro wrestler, right? What's more important, selling or hitting an offensive move?
I think both are definitely important, as long as, okay, when you sell or when you are the one on the offensive, you make it convincing. So like, it's no use if your selling is like awesome. You can sell like Ricky Morton, or you can sell like Sami Zayn. I think Sami Zayn very very good seller also, or Dolph Ziggler. But your offense looks like shit. Or like if your offense is like so good, you make it realistic, like like Bret Hart. I think you mentioned Bret Hart just now. Yeah, I would say he's one of the more, or the most, or one of the most legit looking wrestlers in terms of offense, lah. But if your selling is like shit, then it doesn't really work also, lah. So if you can make sure that both of these aspects are well done, then that will make you, I guess, a good wrestler.
Okay, let's go on to the next question. This guy, I think he posed two questions. Okay, let's do it on the first. The first
Yep.
one. Which female wrestler did Butcherman get impressed by? I assume is your favorite female wrestler, or you are impressed, current or all around.
Okay. I think
Cannot
like
see colonizer
currently,
already. Colonizer is a different league already. This is the best
colonizer I think is in the making in the
in the
making.
making. Too tall.
I think in terms of like current favorite female wrestler would be Tessa Blanchard. I think in fact like
TNA.
she's TNA, she's one of my favorite wrestlers currently. Not only because of her wrestling ability, but I think like the way she carries herself as a star or as a superstar, you feel okay. Like this Tessa Blanchard is, she means business lah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I remember I watched a match with Sammy Callahan. I think I it was one of her matches. I think it was like either the first match, Bound for Glory, or whether it was the one where she won the title.
Okay.
And her facials were like very the ones that left a very good impression or lasting impression because it's like she believes in like what she's doing. I think in terms of like other female wrestlers, like I don't know whether you know Manami Toyota
Uh,
from Japan.
Stardom is
Uh,
it? Super-
I think she's more of like the older generation. I think like 90s or 80s.
Okay.
But man, like I remember I watched her stuff. People like like Manami Toyota, Miko Satomura, Aja Kong, Bull Nakano. Like these
I
ladies
like
are
Bull
like
Nakano though.
yeah,
She reminds me of Bam Bam. Like she's
right,
a super
right,
heavyweight, but she moves
right.
cruiserweight.
Yeah, she can do like flipping leg
Yeah,
drops and shit. Like
I like her.
yeah, for the longest time I felt that those group of female wrestlers are like tougher than the men in WWE. But I mean, of course, now my stance has changed. Like I think every wrestler or every person that attempts to be a wrestler is tough because it is a very tough sport.
But WWE has one thing I give credit to them, right? They have changed women wrestling. What are your thoughts on that? Now, women's wrestling, they are main event for me, right? They have changed, yes, but I still think they can build it up. They throw in the first main event of WrestleMania. It's just too fast, for me, lah. For me, I'm
Okay,
not saying
okay.
I'm right, but what do you think? Of course, we all know, lah. Women's wrestling right now is like to me, they are actually the best thing in the WWE right now.
Okay.
It's a better thing for the men's lah, but it's
Yeah.
How about you?
The WWE made women's wrestling mainstream. I mean the thing is though they were forced into it. Like the
Yeah. It's
fans were
not
just
forced,
like
right? Yeah.
they felt like it felt like like because the fans are making so much noise, we have to do something lah. So, but the thing is, if you take a look at when they kind of first tried to usher in the women's revolution, it wasn't that good. Like like they just put like Becky Lynch, Charlotte, and Sasha Banks into the main roster, right? Like it was alright. I mean, like I was a fan of all three, but like when they were just like forced like onto TV, I was like, like like
The difference is I think right now they have more TV time.
right. That's definitely true.
Yeah.
But I feel like in terms of or revolutionizing women's wrestling, I felt like Japan women's wrestling has always been there. There's always been like other companies that
Good,
do
great women's wrestlers. Yes.
in fact like much better. Like ROH at the time also had some good women's wrestlers as well. Yeah. So
Yeah, but the difference is it's not televised. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, that's the thing. Yeah.
that's
So
the
so
difference. So
they
that's
they
why for me
W-
WWE lah.
yeah, I think WWE like since they are undoubtedly like the leaders of the wrestling industry, uh, other companies felt okay. Now it's the time for us to push women's wrestling even more. Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Mm.
Also, I want to go back to some of our topic. I know we are jumping around a lot here, but
Yeah.
some of our
Yep.
topic, we speaking about women's wrestler. I miss one of your Insta story. I think I it is something about bullying, and I think
Oh
this
yeah. Yep.
referencing to Hana Kimura. Is it? Because I missed that what you post, but then on the next slide you were saying on your Insta story about your previous posts and stuff like that. Do
All
you
right.
think it's a problem, bro? The social media. I know her death is not through wrestling fans lah. Her death is through social media. But since we are on
Yeah.
this topic, right? It's
Yeah.
a huge problem, isn't it? Social
Yes.
media with bullying and stuff like that.
Definitely, because I mean, like behind the keyboard is like, oh yeah, I'm so powerful, like nobody can punch me through the screen, right? So
Yeah.
I'm just going to type whatever I want. And I feel like I mean, the reason why I posted on my Insta story at that time is because
What do you post, bro? First thing first. I didn't manage to catch it.
because like the Hana Kimura
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Like people, or I saw some people posting like, I'm against bullying, or like this is so sad, or this is so bullshit. No, I'm
Right.
110% against bullying, but it's these same people who are bullies themselves. Like they don't even know it, or maybe they know it but they try to deny it. And when I saw this particular person post about how they are against bullying, I'm like, like, have you looked
Just
into the
say it out, bro.
mirror?
You can have bombs here. Don't worry.
Yeah, have you looked into the mirror recently? I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
like, like like you post all of these things about like being against bullying, but you need to reflect and think about what you type before you see it yourself.
There's a difference
Yeah.
between banter and bullying. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
and
A-
people in the keyboard world, they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
And the thing is that they use banter or teasing as an excuse. They think like, hey, I'm just kidding, what? Like, like, why are you so affected? But
Yeah.
the victim, the like, you cannot choose how the victim reacts. Now, if the victim feels offended or feels hurt by it or emotionally affected by it, like, you cannot choose for them to not be affected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same, bro. Like, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but when you're talking about this, immediately it bleeds through my mind like a lightning. Bushwhackers was doing a Hall of Fame inductees in WWE, and those
Yeah.
motherfucking marks, they was like boring, kimak sia, like
Yeah.
fuck, like that guy, the Bushwhacker look in his wheelchair, right? Came here to accept and induct in a Hall of Fame career. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
but that's the thing. I somebody messaged me about, hey, Hana Kimura didn't die because of because of wrestling fans, right? Because I posted on my Facebook. But I said it's the same, you motherfuckers. I immediately say it's the same. You motherfuckers is the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's bad enough that you guys know the background of what's going on wrestling, who's gonna come back and blah blah blah. But then you all have your own opinion. When you have your own opinion, when people respond back, you don't get touchy. You know what I mean? You accept
Yeah.
it and then you go along with it. But that's the difference between IWC and for what it is today. And that's why it is the Bushwhacker thing. Is really, it bugs me
Yeah.
off, man. And I'm glad. I think Jericho mentioned it at his podcast.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, I mean, like, the bushwhacker incident, right? It's just disgusting, because like,
you saw it also?
yeah. I mean, I definitely know the
Yeah.
bushwhacker. I mean, of
I
course,
mean the Hall of Fame speech. No, did you saw it?
yeah. I mean, yeah, I did. But
The
the thing is, like,
apa sia?
the thing is, like, the Hall of Fame it's not for the fans. It's
Yeah,
for
that's
the legends that broke their backs for us. And
it's
yeah,
not
like,
Monday Night
literally, like,
Raw. It's not a show.
yeah, the guy was in the wheelchair, and like, you want to, like, chant boring. Is like, what's wrong with you? Like, it's not about you. Like, like, if you're not, WrestleMania is the time for you to cheer and
Yeah,
stuff.
go ahead, right.
But this
You
is
got your
time.
own ticket.
This is time for you to actually, just like, respect the people who have paved the road for the wrestlers today. Yeah.
I when I watch it, right, it's like I feel, yeah, lah, like I feel, because they are the same. What I'm trying to say, same as in, like, from a perspective, right? They are fans like me. And it's like,
Yeah.
people like this also exist. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, bro. Let's move on. One final question. The
Sure.
same guy from I don't know if it's guy or girl, but Alexis underscore Kingdom 18. Thank you so much for sending in. Your thoughts on AEW in general?
EW. Okay. To be honest, I haven't really caught up like that much. I mean, of course, like the main stuff like
Jericho and stuff
like
like that.
Jericho Inner Circle, Cody winning the TNT title, or Mike Tyson being there, and the what, Stadium Stampede. Yeah, I mean, I do keep track, but in terms of like the regular show, I don't really keep up. I did really enjoy the first Double or Nothing. That was like wow,
Moxley, right? That was the debut of
yeah,
Moxley, right?
the debut of Moxley, yeah. I mean, of course, All In was amazing as well. I did watch also the match against Omega and Moxley,
Mm.
the very like violent match.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. But yeah, like I think it's a good alternative definitely, because I mean WWE Sports Entertainment. I think AEW does focus a lot on the wrestling and athleticism. Um, I am not a big fan of the pace sometimes. Like sometimes it can get like really too fast,
I'm with you.
and like, they just like throw in all of these moves, like, and it's just the opening match, and then like the main event, like you got nothing else to show. You know, so
People didn't realize that, sometimes. But okay, go on,
yeah.
go on.
Yeah, so I mean I still think it's a very good alternative. I feel that at least if let's say WWE doesn't work out, at least there is AEW. But the thing is also that there's also a lot of other places that you can go to.
Yeah,
You can also just make your name wherever, as long as you commit to it. Yeah.
yeah. It's a good time to be a wrestling fan again, lah. To me, wrestlers right now, especially in WWE, right, they are not walking on eggshells anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
I think it was Moxley or Dean Ambrose was talking about it on his podcast or what. He said, you didn't shake somebody's hand, you might not be in storyline. So
Yeah.
I feel like
yeah.
it's a little bit
Yeah.
stupid. What if that happens in Singapore, bro? Like another alternative company. How do you think in terms of business, selling tickets and stuff like that?
You mean like if there are two wrestling companies in in Singapore?
Yeah.
There is Graphomax. Yeah, so Graphomax is the alternative. Yeah, I mean like I think
But I'm talking about like SPW is already like media coverage and stuff like that, right? But I'm talking about like Graphomax. They are still some of us haven't even really heard of Graphomax. But SPW is like up there. I'm talking about if somebody, let's say there's one rich guy invest in a wrestling company, managed to get a TV production to be shown on, I don't know, Singtel Sports or whatever. Do you think it will impact Singapore in terms of economy for pro wrestling?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, of course, if there was that's sort of like rich guy
Got
that
you
made a
smiling,
company.
excited.
I mean, I think a lot of people would probably want that opportunity also,
Right.
but I think also, if let's say, Grapple Max Singapore, SPW and the rich guy company, still coexist, I think it will be quite fruitful for the wrestling industry in Singapore, definitely, because like you have different alternatives, and also if you want to take a look at the competitive side of things,
right.
It's like, okay, like these guys are doing this, okay, let's try to do something better, and like it's healthy competition. I mean, of course, I really am against all of this, like, or like my wrestling company is better than yours, or like
You're all in
trying
the
to
same industry, you see. Why would
exactly
you want any company to
yeah, like if let's SPW and Grapple Max, we are both a Singaporean pro wrestling companies, and we are still trying to push Singapore wrestling into the hearts and minds of people. Yeah, so we should work together rather than like, you guys did this, okay, let's poke at you, or like we are better, let's poke at you. So like we shouldn't have that mentality of like being vicious against each other lah.
It's just healthy competition and banter. It's fun.
Yeah.
Okay, bro. Let's move on to our last segment. Okay, what I wanted to do right now, right? When I mention one name, right? All right, describe them from your personal opinion. Okay?
Yeah.
Is it okay with you? Like, for example,
so one word, or just I can just describe?
You can just describe, or one word also can.
Okay, sure.
All right. Okay. Sure. Okay, let's start off with Chris Jericho.
Chris Jericho, I think if there's one word, it will be reinvention. I feel that the way he reinvents himself, the way he has been able to like have this longevity for this amount of time, is just like that. That is the model of like how you should go about with your wrestling career.
Okay. Selena.
Selena from where? I don't.
SPW.
Oh, SPW. Selena Kyle.
Yeah, catch you there, from Jericho to Selena. See?
Yeah, I was like, whoa, like okay. Selena, I feel that she has good potential in terms of heel. Like she, with her screaming and with the way she her aura. I feel
I
that
like her work.
she has a lot of potential, but I feel that if she can just push it a bit more, then she'll definitely be a big star.
Okay. Jim Ross.
Jim Ross, I feel like one of my favorite commentators of all time. Of course, I do enjoy hearing his botches in AEW. I mean, sometimes you can tell that he's a bit lost, lah. But I mean, all the respect for him because of the way that he, when I was a kid or even as a grown up, you hear his commentary and you're like, oh my god, like I feel so into it because of his commentary.
Because of him is what we fall in love with pro wrestling at home. Because we cannot be there.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on. Ric Flair.
Ric Flair, one of the greatest of all time. I feel that he kind of tarnished his legacy a bit.
I was about to say.
With him like continuing after retirement, but that being said, I think like his legacy shouldn't be looked upon badly because of what he has done. Like I've watched his match against Ricky Steamboat. I don't know how many times already. Those guys are just like they were absolutely
that was on the fly
during that time.
That was on the fly.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't plan. They just go like from the first stage and that's it.
And it looked like it looked like it was planned, but it was actually improvised. That's how great they are. Yeah.
I think if you have chemistry with someone, I think you can actually pre-plan a whole fight. Yeah.
Yeah,
right,
definitely. Yeah.
Bro, can I ask you something? Since we are on this topic, you say Ric Flair just now one of the best, right? What makes a successful in this day and age? Right? What makes a successful wrestling career? Is it the three options I have for you? Is it winning titles on a lot of promotions? Is it the biggest draw in the company? Or this one I think is the least lah, but to me it's quite successful because Brock does it. Having sponsored on your fight gear.
Okay, very good question. I feel in terms of success, I would say biggest draw. Biggest draw. Yeah, I mean, of course. In terms of titles, right? Like I feel it is quite superficial and also like. I mean, even though I'm a wrestler, I'll just say it like it's a fake sport.
Yeah.
Like it's not real. So
predetermined sports.
Sure. Predetermined. But
I hate Ronda Rousey using that word. Yeah.
Well,
okay, go on.
Yeah. Anyways, the thing is like no matter how many titles you hold, if you don't capture the emotion or if you don't capture the imagination of the people, those titles don't mean anything, to be honest.
I got it.
So in terms of biggest draw, and I think I felt this when Kenny Omega came over.
Okay.
I got to wrestle him. Like I look at him, I was like, oh my god, that is a successful wrestler because like if you think about it or if you take a look at our YouTube channel, there wasn't really any promos from him. I mean, of course, Team SPW, we did most of the promo work.
Right.
But you just enter, if you just tell the fans, okay, Kenny Omega is going to wrestle tomorrow at this venue, everybody's going to come because like the wrestling fans love Kenny Omega, So, if people know your catchphrases, if they know like your moves, if they and they will do anything to see you, I think that's what I would consider successful. Yeah.
It's kind of like Undertaker though. Like
Yeah,
WrestleMania, you
yeah,
have title matches, and then the streak matches is almost above the title matches.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
That's the biggest
yeah.
draw. The draw, well, I think it's somewhere around before Brock Lesnar when he wrestled before Brock Lesnar. Around that era, right? I wasn't sure, is it WrestleMania is the draw or the streak is the draw?
Right.
I wasn't really sure, because if you look at the card, right? Okay lah. Besides the Rock and John Cena matches, right?
Yeah.
Before all those WrestleMania, right? It's kind of like the streak is the draw. I guess that's what you're referring to, right? The biggest draw is a successful wrestling career.
Yeah. I mean, of course, in that context, John Cena and The Rock were definitely the biggest draw of that
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
But like the Undertaker, like his streak had this like this bubble, like okay, like is this part of WrestleMania that everybody is
Yeah.
looking forward to?
Who's gonna
Yeah.
challenge him? Who's gonna step up?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's amazing, man. Whenever I think about
Yeah.
Undertaker right now, especially right, where he's dwindling down his career, I yeah, we 5 or 6 years from now, if he stopped wrestling, right, we're gonna realize how great he is actually. The body,
Exactly.
the time he put through. Because if it's about the fans, right, I don't think it's anything about the fans anymore. I just actually think he really, really loves this.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's about the fans, right, would you go to that risk? Yeah, I don't think you and I will even go there. Like it's like, we are gonna have
Yeah.
broken bones, yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Fans, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
go back to our quiz. Last two wrestlers. Andrew statement.
I mean, like definitely pioneer of Southeast Asian and Singaporean wrestling. One of my favorite opponents. I've wrestled him 3 times. I tagged with him once.
But you got wrestled him 1-on-1 before?
Yeah.
What?
This was during our first corporate show. So we performed for the migrant workers. Yeah, and it was my first main event. I mean, of course, not like it wasn't the typical SPW crowd, but
Right.
it was my first main event no matter what. In fact, it was also my first ever singles match. And at that time, I already wrestled for like 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So, he really pushes me to my limit. Whether it's training or whether it's wrestling, like he really pushes me like. Because he's a cardio machine. He got abs on his abs, So like, sometimes I'm like, holy shit, like I can't keep up. But like, I've had the privilege to wrestle him and like test my limits with him lah. Yeah.
I met him. Somebody for my friend who is working at Gymbox introduced me to him. I still remember his first few words. I was talking to him about like kind of I was working out at a gym as well, at the Gymbox as well. I was like asking him several wrestling questions, and then he was like, "Hey, come on, come on, try out for the SPW." Then end up what I took a picture with him at that time, right? SPW was still around Kembangan CC.
Oh yes.
It
Yeah.
wasn't. It still a big crowd lah. To me, it's still a big crowd at the time.
Yeah.
And then he gave me. I think I bought from him tickets or what? Yeah. I bought from him tickets for me and my two friends from Gymbox.
So,
I think that was the start
awesome.
of something. That's where he's a really down to earth guy. I don't know what he's like, when it comes to business and stuff like that lah. But I saw his interview with Channel News Asia as well. Like if SPW were to go somewhere, he's definitely pioneer lah. Pioneer as a
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, one last guy. Triple H.
Triple H. Hold on, I'm just gonna get a sip of my water.
1 hour.
Triple H. Yeah, I mean Triple H. Amazing wrestler. When I watched him, I think, especially during the 2008 era, when he was the WWE champion, I felt he was one of my favorites. I think
he has good wrestling matches, bro.
Yeah, I do. Like I feel that you can tell that he really studies wrestling. Like I mean, of course, for some people his pace is quite slow. he does the same moves. But if you take a look at how he wrestles, how he sells, how he takes his time, how he paces his matches, it's really good. In fact, just last night, like I watched him versus John Cena at Night of Champions. Because I've been so used to like watching like very awesome, I mean today's standard 5-star matches. Like
Right.
Okada versus Omega, or like Will Ospreay versus Shingo. That type of thing. But I watched Cena versus Triple H. I was like, oh my god, actually that was a pretty good match. Like
Is it Triple
Now
H
champions.
went over, right?
Yeah,
Triple
he
H
went
won,
over.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I
Yeah,
think they got
yeah.
like 2 match only. Like one is at WrestleMania where he tap out to Cena.
Mhm.
The other one is the Night of Champions where he went over.
Yeah.
Have you watched
If you, yeah.
have you watched the Samoa Joe against CM Punk at ROH?
Of course, there were 3 of them. I think the only one that I watched, cause I couldn't find the others, is they had a 60-minute draw.
Yep, that one.
Yeah,
Oh, that one. Oh.
yeah.
Bro,
Yeah,
if
man,
you
like-
if you were to, if let's say a kid come to you for advice, right? Like what mentioned just now about I am Blackheart Owana, his question was advice of inspiring wrestlers like him. But if
Yeah.
you were to introduce one match to them and learn, right? Or maybe a wrestler and learn from a wrestler, who will it be? Which will it be? What match will it be?
Awesome question. I would say,
And we are talking about, choose carefully here, we are talking about the entire history of your eyes on wrestling, Because if it
Yeah.
were me, right, I would go for, it's a little bit underrated because of the situation, but Bret Hart against Shawn Michaels at that screw job match, right, was actually just 10%. They didn't really go through the whole thing, but the introduction of it, right, I would ask them to watch that match. But it's being
Okay.
overshadowed because of the situation.
Of course.
The way they sell, I mean, it helps lah with the Canadian crowd and all that, right?
Yeah.
But what about you, bro?
A very good question. I would pick a match either from Hulk Hogan or John Cena. If you're talking about like showing a match to a kid,
Yeah.
I think because of
Why is that,
like I think first of all because I don't want to show them like like death matches or like matches with blood.
I mean like inspired guys. Hey, anything that I can learn, then you want to show them a pro wrestling match, right? Which match?
You mean you mean in terms of like
learning and stuff.
yeah,
Like that. Not
young
a kid
kids.
lah. Not a
Oh,
young
okay. I mean, if it was a young kid, definitely John Cena, Hulk Hogan, they can watch that. But okay, in terms of studying, tough
That's
choice.
why I go with Brett and Sean, bro.
I would say actually Bret and Stone Cold. Bret and Stone Cold WrestleMania 13.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Goosebumps, yeah, that match.
Yeah, man. Because they had everything. They had brawling. They had weapons. They had submission wrestling. In fact, that match was a submission match.
Yeah.
A lot of people tend to forget that. Like they think that it's like a no DQ match, but it's actually a submission match. And like the way they told their story and the way that Stone Cold brought his character and the way he brought his character, the way Bret Hart brought his character, and the way they just double turn, it was like
it's fucking genius. Like how Bret Hart. I mean, in terms of wrestling, right? I assume the veteran always take control, right? For wrestling, right? But how the fuck did he envision that blood, for Bret Hart, It's fucking amazing, That's the moment that made Stone Cold, right? That made his character throughout his career.
Yeah. I mean that solidified him as a face lah. Like the way it's like okay, I'm in so much pain, but I'm not gonna tap out. Like this is a matter of pride. I'm not gonna tap out.
Yeah. Okay. How about wrestlers, bro? If you were to learn to somebody, for me, okay, I'm not gonna be biased through Bret Hart. I'm gonna exclude him, but some people found him overrated. But to me, it should be Randy Orton, because to me, Randy Orton, his ring psychology is brilliant, almost the same level as CM Punk and AJ Styles to me. But if you're talking about today, I believe Cody Rhodes and Kurt Angle. Is the excellence of execution. Yeah. To me, how about you?
I think of all time, I think okay, if you're not gonna say Bret Hart, I'll say Bret Hart because Bret Hart, like the great thing about him is that when he sells and when he does his offense, it looks 100% convincing. Like
Yeah, it looks real, huh?
I've never seen Bret Hart really botch. Also, like I mean, if it was a botch, it was like a minor one. But like yeah, like I think
the way
Bret
he
Hart would be
punch
one
people,
of them.
it looks real, huh?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so convincing.
Oh yeah. I think another match I forgot to mention. I think other than Bret and Austin, I think one underrated Bret Hart match that people should check out or should study is Bret Hart versus Diesel. It
Royal Rumble.
was I think Survivor Series. I think it was Survivor. Yeah, it was Survivor Series.
Is
like,
it Bret Hart won and Diesel jackknife powerbomb him 3 times after the match?
Yes, correct. Yeah, he. I think I love the match so much because like of course Diesel and Bret, I think they were faces at the time, but then Bret Hart was not scared to become a heel also. Like he wasn't afraid to cheat. And Kevin Nash also the same. But of course Kevin Nash was way more powerful during that match, but Bret Hart was trying to use his quickness, his smarts to just out wrestle and even out cheat Kevin Nash.
He got Ty Diesel's boot and all that, right? At the post.
Yeah, and I think also and also that was the time when I think it was the first time that there was a broken table in WWE. Yeah.
Correct. And then I think there's one. Now you mention it, it comes up. It comes reminiscing because I think there's this one time he tried to go heel for a moment where he acted and then he rolled up.
Right? Yeah. That's good shit, man. Good shit.
Wow, fuck, man. Thinking about all these matches, where have we all been in today's wrestling? Okay, going back, wrestler, bro.
I would say Bret Hart, but in terms of like current generation, yeah, I think I agree with you with the Cody thing because like Cody, like you don't know him for his moves or you don't know him for like all his flips and stuff, but like the way he tells his story, I think like the only reason why I would enjoy AEW is because of Cody Rhodes. Because like his promos, like I did tear up in one. I think the one where he was challenging Jericho. And he was talking about his family. He was talking about what being a champion means to him and like how like if he loses, he's going to not challenge for the title again. Like that type of stuff is like something that everybody should
from the hip, man.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes. Okay. Wow. I think we talked about a lot here, bro. How do you feel?
Yeah. Great. I mean, I was answering questions that I never really thought about. Yeah, so like
actually, I want to thank you first, the questions, but you know what? It will be much. It will be much more fun.
I mean,
straight on the hip.
I mean, as you mentioned just now, the element of surprise is no longer really existent in wrestling. So might as well just pop some surprising questions as well.
Okay, bro. So for the fans of SPW, for the fans of the Butcherman, what's next for you? You're still the champion, right?
Yeah, I'm still the Singapore champion.
There's no 24/7 title clause.
Oh no! I mean, like we would have to make a new title from that, but in terms of what's next, so the Butcherman doesn't have Clevie anymore because it got stolen by our ring announcer, Mr. Froyce.
Oh, serious?
I think he's angry because Butcherman punched him in the face. For taking the cleaver away. So yeah, the first thing that he's going to do is trying to get the cleaver back.
Right.
And of course, defend the Singapore Championship. The Butcherman has already worked so hard.
How long have you been the reigning champion?
I was champion since December. Yeah. In fact, from December till now, I've defended the title more times than any previous champion before me.
Wow. You got count how many days now to make it sound cool?
Oh, I I would say
Because
my
last
math's very
time
bad lah.
when we were growing up, right, they
Yeah.
go by months, no. Nowadays,
Oh yeah.
right, they go by days.
Yeah,
So-
by days to make it much bigger. So December, January, March.
Okay lah, bro.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you feel about this podcast? You are our first guest, but at the same time, you are closing in on our season one. Thank you so much. Always appreciate you and I. You know, we can always talk about wrestling. You know, we always share some wrestling stories. Like what the fuck is going on with the wrestling world?
Yeah.
I just want
Yeah.
to say I really appreciate your time for for this podcast with us, bro.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I mean, of course, we've been wanting to do it for quite a while, but I think schedule conflicts and I think at that time, yeah, we were quite busy. So,
Shall we conclude what we are supposed to do for you and Daniel Dharma for No
yeah,
Guns No
of
Glory?
course, of course.
Or you want to keep it still a secret just in case we might do again in the future?
Okay. I mean that is a good point also lah. So maybe instead we should give the element of surprise lah. Yeah.
Right. Okay, bro. Okay, bro. So thank you so much. I hope I'm not disturbing your time with your wife or whatsoever. And I want to say thank you to Disha Riza. I am Blackheart 01, Alexis Kingdom. I think there is Farhan Farhan D School. I don't know how to pronounce. A lot of questions, but due to time constraint, we selected the best four. So thank you for tuning in, and thank you for sending in. And I hope the Butcherman answer a lot of some of your questions and inquiries. But where can we find you on social media, bro?
Yeah, so for Instagram is DA_Butcherman, so the_Butcherman. Then on Twitter it is DA_Butcherman, but there's an extra N because apparently someone else is the Butcherman also.
Okay.
Yeah, and also you can find me in the next SPW show.
Okay. Can sure, no problem. Bro. So, bro, I'll catch up with you. I tell you what, bro. When the next SPW event, we should catch up.
Yep, definitely.
Okay, bro.
Definitely.
All right, man.
Okay.
Take care, brother.
Okay, take care. Thanks for having me.
See you. Bye bye. Assalamualaikum.
Okay, see you. Bye. Salam.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.